Affiliated to this paper, I need freedom for my family line. Draw my life design up like fine art. I'm jumping out just an unfamiliar coordinate. Topped off the porch like I can touch the sky. Red is not one trillion. The ism talk the water out your faucet. Look at me flossing, I'm so wavy I could change the tide. My intuition sense the hatred in your ways. You imitated, forging lines, claim meaning means that's just to justify. Yeah, right. West side, born maritime. Creole baby, my bloodline. My lungs clouded, my thoughts crowded. Say all I see is these dollar signs. Finna make a play and that sound delay. Oh, mamas, I testify. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Game, I'm versatile and my slang is different. I'm lane switching with the same people that I came up in this thing with. My ass with
Springfield up like a hairball. I gotta tell them if they even put the fingernail on Santa's little helper to turn them to hamburger helper. Somebody better help them, cause I'm going to jail for showing them fellas helter skelter. Usually I'm content, but if you touch my dog, then I'm turning into John Wick. I'm lit. Bird better drop it. If you touch my pet, then I'm pulling up like CrossFit. On overseas where they said Hello Kitty, but it ain't there, it's right here in your city. When I turn my back, now the cat goes missing and where my peoples is at. Does anybody know where he took with that? Cause I heard they putting claws on felines, I'm mad. And my cat disappeared just like Felix the cat. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat.
They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat.
Drop that cat.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button. Share this video out to all of your building early. It is good to see each and every one of you. If you can hear me okay and everything looks good on the screen, please give me a thumbs up or radiation emoji in the chat. If you cannot hear me or things are looking and sounding bad, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody who's in the building early, all right? Shout out to my man, Carlton Way. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Please make sure you follow those instructions there, all right? Shout out to Katsy. Shout out to my man, Lehman Lucas. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Shout out to Katsy for standing on business for 26 months. Definitely appreciate you, Katsy. Make sure y'all show Katsy some love for that. Shout out to my man, AB Promotions, a.k.a. FOMO Saki. What's good with it, bro? And shout out to Brooklyn Queen for the off-rip ducats. Now we 1 out of 10 for the goal. that is what is good. All right. So we are going to talk about a lot of stuff today, man. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. There's a couple of things that we're going to talk about, right? The first thing that we are going to talk about is, if you ask me, the electricity that is required to produce or mine Bitcoin is going to be one of the driving factors, along with artificial intelligence, that brings humanity to the type 1 Kardashev technological classification. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. We will go over that in increments as we move forward. All right. Shout out to Katsy. Katsy's talking about Palantir. All right. Now, guess what? Take a while. Guess what? If you can't guess what, this was a screenshot from yesterday. All right. You guys see what happened here? Ethereum's market cap overtakes Palantir. All right. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said too many big words. Right. People dropping off. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. We're purifying the chat. Right. We're purifying it. Right. The purity of oblivion. Right. Ethereum's market cap overtakes Palantir with a market cap of $0.31 trillion. Ethereum is now ranked 38 among the world's top assets, surpassing Palantir. All right. Ethereum's market cap overtakes Novo Nordisk with a market cap of $0.31 trillion. Ethereum now ranks 39 among the world's top assets, surpassing Novo Nordisk. All right. Pretty impressive, right? Here goes another one, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this one. All right. Look at this. Ethereum's market cap overtakes Coca-Cola. How many people were aware of that? If you guys were aware of that, give me a thumbs up. If you were not aware of that, give me a thumbs down. All right. With a market cap of US $0.31 trillion, Ethereum now ranks 40 among the world's top assets, surpassing Coca-Cola. Pretty impressive, right? Pretty impressive. Here goes a post on Binance, all right, that validates that. Ethereum overtakes Coca-Cola with a $300 billion market cap, all right? Institutions are buying Ethereum like never before. On May 11th, Ethereum hit $2,514.48 per token, driving its market cap to $303.6 billion, a 4.2% gain in 26 hours, and a 37.6% return in 7 days. Analysts from Elja and venture founder see upside towards $10,000 to $15,000 as regulatory clarity and DeFi scaling boost confidence. With institutional inflows fueling this climb, Ethereum's role in traditional finance and blockchain innovation is stronger than ever. Now, we've been supposed to, right? We've been supposed to get to this quote unquote $10,000 to $15,000 Ethereum for quite some time, right? But there's been a lot of roadblocks. This is pretty impressive, though, right? Pretty impressive. Shout out to the people that hold Ethereum, right? You know, Ethereum is very frustrating to hold, you know what I'm saying? But shout out to Ethereum for doing that, all right? Now, we're going to take a look at an Ethereum price forecast, all right? We're going to take a look at an Ethereum price forecast. Here's my question for you guys. How likely is this $10,000 to $15,000 Ethereum by the end of the year? That's my question. What's your thoughts? How likely is this? Ethereum price forecast. Ethereum leads crypto product flows following staking boost from SEC. All right. Ethereum ETFs outperformed the global crypto products market with $321 million inflows, extending the streak to 6 weeks. SEC Division of Corporation Finance's positive statement on staking likely boosted interest in Ethereum products amid the crypto market decline. Ethereum risks declining to $2,260 if it fails to clear a rising trend line and 50-period SMA hurdles. All right. So we got an Ethereum price alert, right? We definitely got an Ethereum price alert. So make sure you take down 2,260, put it in your phone for Ethereum. Ethereum, 2,260. All right. Price alert. Interesting. So now let me ask y'all this. If Ethereum goes to $2,260, what will people be doing? Here's a better question. Ethereum goes to $2,260. What will BlackRock do? We got to always ask the question, right? Right? Shout out to my man Carlton. We got to ask the question, what would BlackRock do? If you see Ethereum at $2,260, what would Larry Fink do? That's my question. Let me know. Shout out to Katsy. You guys see this? Passing Novo Nordisk is huge. They produce many, many, many popular meds. Facts. Shout out to AB. AB says buy. Facts. If you guys agree with AB, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. After you buy, then do what? Stake, right? Facts. Ethereum trades around 2,500 on Monday, following an outperformance of investment products tracking its price. Ethereum investment products outperformed the total digital asset product market last week with $321 million in inflows. This marks the 6th consecutive week of net inflows totaling $1.19 billion, their strongest streak since December of 2024. According to CoinShares Digital Asset Fund Flows Weekly Report, U.S. spot Ethereum exchange-traded funds dominated weekly flows with $285.8 million in net inflows, extending their inflow streak to 10 days. Now, again, let me ask you guys this question. How is all of this buying activity taking place, right? How is all of this buying activity taking place and the price is staying where it's at? That's the question, right? And shout out to Black Free Thinker, because this is what Black Free Thinker was saying in the last stream when he was saying BlackRock and companies like this are getting these products cheap and making a ton of money on the upside with the exchange traded fund products, right? In contrast, Bitcoin products ended their 6-week inflow run with 8 million in outflows after reversing their strong inflows from earlier in the week. Additionally, XRP products experienced 28.2 million in net outflows, marking the 2nd consecutive week of outflows. All right. The outperformance of Ethereum funds follows a statement last Thursday from the Securities and Exchange Commission, Division of Corporation Finance, clarifying that, quote unquote, certain staking activities do not fall under the scope of securities laws. The division, led by Commissioner Hester Pierce, highlighted that the statement applies to self-stakers of covered crypto assets, as well as non-custodial and custodial staking as a service provider. Now, here's my question. How do you, quote unquote, stake as a service provider? Does that make sense? Why don't you just stake your own products, right? You can stake from your wallet, right? You can stake from an exchange, right? You can stake controlling your crypto with the majority of your crypto in your custody. Why would you have anyone else stake your crypto is my question. Why would you give them part of the fee? I don't get it. The SEC's new position has boosted interest in Ethereum and could open the door for it to approve filings from asset managers seeking to allow staking within their Ethereum ETFs. All right. Ethereum price forecast. Ethereum faces rising trend line and 50-period SMA hurdles. All right. Ethereum saw a 31.63 million in future liquidations over the past 24 hours, according to CoinGlass data. The amount of long and short liquidations is 15.69 million and 15.95 million, respectively. All right. Ethereum declined below the rising trend line of an ascending triangle pattern and the 50-period simple moving average on Friday, and has since struggled around the 2,500 level. Is anybody surprised by this? Literally, I swear, if you read the majority of information about Ethereum, like over the past 2 years, it's literally the same article. It's literally the same article. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. If Ethereum fails to move above the rising trend line and the 50-day period SMA in the coming days, it may find support near the 100-period SMA, further below the 2,260 mark or 2,100 range serves as a key support level. We need higher lows with Ethereum. You know what I'm saying? We need higher lows. On the upside, Ethereum has to maintain a firm move above the range between 2,750 and 2,850 to begin an uptrend. The relative strength index and stochastic oscillator are below their neutral levels, indicating dominant bearish momentum. Now, let me ask you guys this question. If there's dominant bearish momentum, what direction is that going to force the price? That's important, right? If there's dominant bearish momentum, in most cases, that's going to force the price in which direction? Let me know. So if it's going to force the price in that particular direction that we're asking about, right, what are the likely prices of Ethereum that we're going to see? Probably 2,100, right? Probably 2,100, which means buy. Facts. If you guys would agree with Black Free Thinker, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said, facts. One can overlay the articles on top of one another, and they all sound the same. Facts. Especially Ethereum. Like, come on. You know what I'm saying? We need some movement with Ethereum. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Is it a decent time to look into buying some Solana? If it is, let me know. If it's not, also let me know. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Ouch. Ouch. You know what I'm saying? That hurts. 1.9 to 2.1K. Right? Hey, but it's a possibility though, right? So let me ask you guys this question. So far, what cryptocurrency assets are being used to build treasuries? That's my question for you guys. Lay it out for me in the chat. Let me know which cryptos are being used to build treasuries. Second question, are these cryptocurrencies that you should be thinking about getting and staking? Let me know. All right. We know that there's been talk and there's already Bitcoin treasuries, right? We know that there's talk of and already is XRP treasuries, right? We know that there's talk of and already is Solana treasuries, right? Shout out to Carlton. Ethereum treasuries, right? These are things that we should be looking into and staking so that we're in right now building up the balance so that when these things take off as a result of the exchanges, the ETFs, and investor interest in venture capital, you already are invested to the point where you have a nice bump in your balance, right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Here we have another company that's going to raise money to buy Solana. All right. Now, let me ask you guys a question. This institutional FOMO here that we have, what will this do to the price of Solana? Where's the Solana upside price? Somebody let me know. NASDAQ listed crossover plans to raise up to $500 million in new deal to build Solana treasury. All right. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Why are companies doing this? Because if you own a majority of shares in these blockchains, you have a vested interest and a voice in the future financial system. If you own a large percentage of Ethereum, you have power on the Ethereum network. If you own a large amount of Solana, you have power on the Solana network. If you own a large amount of Bitcoin, you have power and influence over the Bitcoin network. Right? You have power and influence over these things. These companies want to be the future controllers of the machines that govern the human finance system. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. They're making their investments early, okay? The New York-based ed tech firm announced it has signed a purchase agreement to issue up to $500 million in senior secured convertible notes. It's required to allocate up to 80% of the net proceeds for purchasing Solana. Now, again, I don't know what these people's strategies are, right? I don't know what they plan on doing with Solana. I don't know how they plan on generating income with Solana. I don't know what it is exactly that they want. I don't know what their end goal is, right? But one of the things that we do know is that you're not going to be able to invest in Solana and get a Bitcoin return. A lot of these people are expecting to become Microstrategies. I don't think that that's going to happen. Now, again, that doesn't mean that some of these people may not make money. They might. It doesn't mean that some of this may not help their share price. It may. But if you're investing in Solana, you're going to get a Solana result. If you're investing in Bitcoin, you're going to get a Bitcoin result. If you're investing in XRP or Ethereum, you're going to get an XRP or an Ethereum result. I don't know why people tend to do things like this, but this is what we're going to see. Now, here's a huge issue, right? As the institutional FOMO increases, right? What's really happening is a super bubble, right? A mega financial bubble is happening as we speak, right? Once this bubble bursts, not only for a lot of these businesses will this be disastrous, this could possibly be disastrous for the wider cryptocurrency market. One of the things that's creating this bubble is these companies being controlled by shareholders. Remember, most of these shareholders, they don't know anything about the businesses that they're invested in. The only thing that they pay attention to is how much capital gains they can get. So they have no idea how any of the inner workings work. They don't care how any of the inner workings work. The only thing that they want is their expected APY or their expected dividend. And if they don't get it, that's the decision maker. They sell. A lot of times cryptocurrency investment or cryptocurrency financial strategy is a very long-term gain with a lot of bumps in the road. I don't think that most investors have the intestinal fortitude for a long-term corporate crypto strategy. And what's going to happen is these people are going to get scared. They're going to get shaky, and they're going to flush themselves out of the market, which is going to flush these corporations out of the market, which is going to really take a toll on the price of a lot of these cryptocurrencies. Yeah, facts. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. I agree 100%. If you guys agree with Black Free Thinker, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Black Free Thinker says, sounds like the old .com bubble back in the 1990s. Yeah, it's going to be the crypto bubble. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says shares of Classover Holdings, a NASDAQ-listed educational technology company, jumped 39.85% on Monday after it announced plans to raise up to $500 million to build a Solana-based corporate treasury. Solana is the native token of the Solana blockchain. Now, we got to ask this question. Why would a company's stock price jump 39.85% just on an announcement that they're going to start holding Solana? We haven't seen any company create MicroStrategies results off of just holding Solana. This is how you can tell that most of these people they're clueless. They have no idea what's going on. Why would this make a positive impact? Where's the evidence of a company building wealth through Solana like MicroStrategies built wealth through Bitcoin? Where's the evidence of this? You know what I'm saying? Seriously. So if there's no evidence of this, and then again, you have to ask the question, why would investor sentiment raise 39.85%? Because of an announcement to form a Solana treasury. Let me ask you guys this question. How many times have we announced as individuals that we're buying cryptocurrency and holding it? Does our net worth just jump up out of the clear blue sky? No, it doesn't. I want you guys to seriously think about this. Seriously think about this. What has warranted a 39.85% spike in share price after an announcement? Hey, we're buying Solana. Shout out to Alpha Male Pimp Network. What's good with it, bro? Somebody tell me. Now, you know, again, this is not me going in on Solana. This is not me going in on this company. This is me going in on the people that influence these things, which would be the shareholders influencing the price. Why are people diving into this company simply because they said that they're going to buy Solana? Where is a company that has raised its equity in a fashion comparable to Microstrategies through Solana? So again, when it comes to the institutional FOMO, right, a lot of these institutions think that any cryptocurrency is going to give them a Bitcoin / Microstrategies result. We know that that's not true. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Facts. Pure speculation and nothing else. I agree. If you guys agree with Black Free Thinker, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Yeah, that's facts. In a statement released Monday, the New York headquartered company said it has signed a securities purchase agreement with Solana Growth Ventures LLC to issue up to $500 million in senior secured convertible notes. The company expects an initial closing and funding of $11 million to occur shortly after the customary closing conditions are satisfied. Okay. Under the terms of the deal, Classover must dedicate up to 80% of the net proceeds to purchasing Solana, according to the statement. The latest funding arrangement builds on Classover's previously announced $400 million equity purchase agreement, bringing the company's combined potential financing capacity to $900 million earmarked for its Solana purchases, the company said. All right, so this company would like to buy $900 million worth of Solana. $900 million worth of Solana. Let me ask you guys this question. If the institutional adoption of Solana continues like this, right? If it continues like this, what's going to happen to the Solana on exchanges? Matter of fact, what's going on with Solana on exchanges right now? What's going on with the Solana on exchanges right now? This agreement marks a significant milestone in the company's strategic initiative to build a Solana-based treasury reserve, said Stephanie Liu, CEO of Classover. By entering into this agreement, Classover reaffirms its strong commitment to becoming a leader in blockchain-aligned financial strategy and positioning itself among the first publicly traded companies to directly integrate Solana into its treasury operations. All right. So again, we're hearing all of this talk of quote unquote treasury operations, right? Here's another thing I want to ask you guys about. How many people have heard this term quote unquote digital assets? The term cryptocurrency? You're not even about to hear any of these things referred to as cryptocurrency anymore. For the most part, now it's only going to be discussed as digital assets. And who's buying them all up? We see who's buying them all up. Upon the announcement, Classover stock, look at this, surged 39.85% on the NASDAQ. So we need to take a look at Classover, right? We need to follow this company. So we're going to write down Classover. Okay? See what Solana does for their stock price. What's the ticker for Classover? Let's see. Class over holdings. Doesn't look like they put the ticker up there. If anybody knows what the ticker for class over is, somebody let me know in the chat. All right. But now look at this. Upon the announcement, class over stock surged 39.85% on NASDAQ, closing at $3.72 on Monday before slipping 1.88% in after-hours trading, according to Yahoo Finance data. Its stock price has fallen 48.19 over the past month and is down 7.23% year-to-date. So I want you guys to pay very close attention to what's going on here. A lot of these companies who are not doing very well, what they do is they'll focus on a particular cryptocurrency and say, hey, we're about to save our company by buying this cryptocurrency. Then the stock price goes up. Then people are going to say, well, I lost money because I invested in this. If you don't have a successful business strategy before cryptocurrency is not going to save you from having bad business strategy. Your business strategy has to improve. You know what I'm saying? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Founded in 2020, Classover specializes in live online education for students in grade K through 12. Okay, so look, it was founded in 2020, right? Classover specializes in live online education for students in grades K through 12, right? So clearly this is a company that was created to exploit the C-19 pandemic and deal with the problem of children not going to school and not being educated in classrooms, being educated on Zoom. Shout out to Vincent Harper. What's good with it, bro? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs down. Now, right, 5 years after the C-19 pandemic, they might find that their product might not have a lot of relevance. So being not able to convert their existing infrastructure into kids is the ticker symbol. All right, good look. That's kind of, I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna keep an eye on this company anyway. KIDZ. All right, so we're gonna keep an eye on this company, right? But so now their product probably doesn't have much use now that C-19 is done, right? So now here's the question. How is Solana going to help their business model? They're not even a finance company. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says it launched a Solana treasury strategy last month to quote unquote enhance its balance sheet with a high performance, scalable digital asset. Classover joins a growing list of companies adopting Solana accumulation strategies. Several firms such as Solana Strategies, DeFi Development Corporation, T.F.T.C, and Janover have been building Solana reserves either alongside their core operations or as a pivot from their original business focuses. All right. So now, again, there has to be some strategy of what you plan on doing with the Solana, right? I get it. Buying and holding, yes, it does bring value, right? But how sustainable will that be without a strategy of using that value to increase and get more value? You know what I'm saying? That's the true question. Now we're going to take a look at what your boy Michael Saylor has been doing. All right. We're going to take a look at what your boy Michael Saylor has been doing. Saylor's Bitcoin buying strategy is exploding globally, but Wall Street is skeptical. I don't know if I would necessarily say Wall Street is skeptical. BlackRock is skeptical. I wouldn't say BlackRock is skeptical. I would say Peter Schiff is skeptical, right? I wouldn't necessarily go as far as to say that Wall Street is skeptical, because look at all of the Wall Street price activity of the ETF products. Yeah, I got facts. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker says they'll be selling it to BlackRock in due time, or BlackRock will just own the company in due time, right? BlackRock will just own the company in due time. Saylor's Bitcoin buying strategy is exploding globally, but Wall Street is skeptical. All right. Companies like GameStop and Trump Media have unveiled Bitcoin buying strategies, but they're not getting the same kind of treatment as Michael Saylor's company. Now, here's my question. Why would they get the same type of treatment as Michael Saylor's company? Let me ask you guys this question. Why would they get the same kind of treatment as Michael Saylor's company? It doesn't make any sense. Why would there be an expectation of that? Saylor says there's been an explosion of interest in companies purchasing Bitcoin. Over the long term, Bitcoin on the balance sheet has proven to be extraordinarily popular, Saylor told CNBC. Now, here's my question. Would you guys agree with that statement? If you guys would agree with that statement, give me a thumbs up. If you guys wouldn't agree with that statement, give me a thumbs down. We're going to take a look. We're going to take a quick look at this. And real quick, shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. All right? So this is 24 minutes. We definitely ain't about to watch this. Now, we can watch this later, or I can make a video about it. How many people want to watch this? If you guys want to watch this, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. If you want me to make a video about it, or we could just do a live stream and react to this later, then also let me know in the chat. Shout out to the replay gang. Y'all can let me know with the replay gang as well. All right. The Bitcoin treasury play that lifted Strategies market cap past 80 billion is now being mimicked by quote unquote meme stock companies, media firms, and multinational conglomerates. But Wall Street isn't buying all the hype. All right. So again, my question is, where are they getting this from? That Walmart isn't quote unquote buying the hype. Let me ask you this question. If Walmart is not, if Wall Street is not buying all the hype, then why is it that in most cases, not all, right, but in most cases, when these companies announce these strategies, even with cryptocurrencies that are not Bitcoin, altcoins, right, why is it that their stock price increases? Shout out to Alpha Male Pimp Network and Brooklyn Queen. A video. That's what's good. That's what's good. You know what I'm saying? This week, Trump media announced plans to raise $2.5 billion to buy Bitcoin, and I've heard that that's not actually true, but we'll see. All right. Revealed a GameStop, right? Revealed a $500 million allocation. Meanwhile, Tether, SoftBank, and Strike's Jack Mallers unveiled 21. A Bitcoin native public company expected to launch with more than 42,000 Bitcoin on its balance sheet, enough to make it the third largest corporate holder of the asset globally. Okay. For now, the market doesn't see the next strategy in any of them. Trump media shares have dropped more than 20% since the announcement, while GameStop is down nearly 17%. Strategy, formerly known as Microstrategies, has multiplied by 26 times since the end of 2022, amassing a Bitcoin stake worth over $60 billion. Okay. Now, again, it's interesting how they talk about this stuff, but they don't really explain the differences. Yeah, I got it. If you guys agree with Black Free Thinker, that's a perfect analogy. Give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Black Free Thinker said, just because you buy a souped up race car or a souped up car doesn't mean you're going to suddenly start winning drag races. Simple. Yeah. Yeah. Facts. They're going to find this out the hard way. Maybe the market wanted them to buy more Bitcoin, said strategy chairman Michael Saylor in an interview at Bitcoin 2025 in Las Vegas. But these are short-term dynamics. Over the long term, Bitcoin on the balance sheet has proven to be extraordinarily popular. Saylor called Trump's media move courageous, aggressive, and intelligent, and said the flood of similar announcements marks a global shift in corporate finance. Everywhere I go at this conference, someone says, you know, I'm working on a Bitcoin treasury company in Hong Kong. I'm doing this thing in Korea. I've got this thing I'm working on in Abu Dhabi. We're going to do this in the Middle East. You know, we've got this in the UK, he said. There's an explosion of interest right now. Saylor said Bitcoin ambassadors are planting the orange flag everywhere on earth. Now, I think that that's a very interesting statement there. I think that that's a very interesting statement there. And I wouldn't disagree. Right? Now, you know, here's my question for you guys. Where would you take that statement? Right? Where would you take that statement? What began as a fringe financial maneuver is quickly becoming a geopolitical race. All right. Shout out to CNBC for saying this and having millions of people reading it, right? When I said this last year, and you guys complete my sentence for me, right? Under the Biden administration, corporate Bitcoin adoption was often treated as a regulatory red flag. But under President Donald Trump, the tone has changed. In March, Trump signed an executive order establishing a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve, instructing federal agencies to treat Bitcoin as a long-term store of value. The reserve will be funded entirely through Bitcoin seized in criminal and civil forfeiture cases, according to White House crypto and AI czar David Sachs. The order also empowers the government to explore additional budget-neutral mechanisms for acquiring more Bitcoin. For the first time, the federal government will conduct a full audit of its digital asset holdings, currently estimated at more than 200,000 Bitcoin. The order explicitly prohibits the sale of any Bitcoin from the reserve, cementing its role as a permanent sovereign asset. Now, I want to ask you guys this question, right? I want to ask you this question. So shout out to Carlton. Carlton says Sailor said his favorite color is orange. So that tells you that he likes Bitcoin and he likes the president. Right? He likes Bitcoin and he likes the president. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Shout out to Katsy. Katsy said it's a shift towards digital currency replacing fiat. How long have we been saying this? Facts. If you guys agree with Katsy, throw some thumbs up in the chat. You know what I'm saying? This is again, this is interesting, right? Look, check this out. How many people did it come across your feed? There was a clip, and what's the name of that podcast? Earn Your Leisure or something like that. On Earn Your Leisure, they were talking about Bitcoin, talking about quote unquote, it's not too late. Talking about it's not too late. Man, I started dying laughing, man. Shout out to my man, Detroit 313. What's good with it, bro? I see all, listen, Earn Your Leisure said, listen, audience, it's not too late. Hey, what do y'all think about that? Let me know what y'all think about that in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Now, Vice President J.D. Vance this week became the first sitting vice president to address the Bitcoin community directly, framing crypto as a hedge against inflation, censorship, and unelected bureaucrats. And in a further move to boost Bitcoin, the Department of Labor rolled back guidance that had discouraged Bitcoin investments in retirement plans. No force on earth can stop an idea whose time has come, Saylor said. Bitcoin is digital capital and maybe the most explosive idea of the era. Some corners of the corporate world are still resistant. Late last year, Microsoft shareholders rejected a proposal to use some of the software company's massive cash pile to follow Saylor's lead. In a video presentation supporting the effort, Saylor told investors that Microsoft can't afford to miss the next technology wave, which is fascinating because Microsoft was built based on IBM missing a technology wave. Right? Microsoft was built on IBM missing a technology wave, and now Microsoft is about to go down the scale of value by missing a technology wave. Isn't that wild? Uh-oh. Hold on real quick. Let me see something. Real quick, while you guys are chilling, smash that like button. Make sure y'all hit the bell. Hold on real quick. I can't, it's not even showing. So, Mike, Alpha Male Pimp Network, if you can type in the chat, type something. Let's see, hold on. Community moderation. It's not showing. It's not showing him as hidden. Let me see. Y'all killing me. Oh, there he is. All right. All right. Oh, you unhit him. Okay. All right. Shout out to Carlton. Oh, okay. Good, cool. I didn't know y'all was able to unhide. That must be some new moderator thing that they put in. All right, that's what's good. All right, cool. All right. While strategy has reaped the rewards of early adoption, Saylor suggested the market's cooler reaction to Trump media and GameStop may stem from structural financing dynamics that may stem more from structural financing dynamics than from skepticism towards Bitcoin itself. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. And the reason why I don't necessarily agree with that is because we see all of these other Bitcoin treasury companies, their stock prices are skyrocketing, and none of these people have anything to do with crypto. You know what I'm saying? He pointed to GameStop's initial announcement that it was considering a Bitcoin strategy, which led to a 50% pop in stock and tenfold increase in trading volume. So again, so how can you, how can you say that Wall Street is not buying this if this happens to the stock price when you know what I'm saying, when people announce this? The company quickly capitalized on the momentum with a $1.5 billion convertible bond raise, a move he described as extraordinarily successful. Trump media took a similar approach, raising capital through a large convertible bond offering. And again, this is the exact same thing that Saylor is doing. He's using this convertible bond tactic, okay? Saylor said those financing methods can create short-term downward pressure, but that over time, investors will benefit. When it comes to strategy, Saylor said there's no ceiling to his Bitcoin accumulation plans. His company is already by far the largest corporate holder of the cryptocurrency. We'll keep buying Bitcoin, he told CNBC. We expect the price of Bitcoin will keep going up. We think it will get exponentially harder to buy Bitcoin, but we will work exponentially more efficiently to buy Bitcoin. Yeah, I agree with this statement. And this, if you ask me, this is what everybody should be doing. We don't need to speculate, right? We don't need to speculate and say, you know, I think in the future it might be exponentially hard, right? It's almost, I would say, about every halving, Bitcoin moves a decimal place. We've gone from $1 to $10 to $100 to $1,000 to $10,000, now $100,000. Right? A decimal place move is huge. You know what I'm saying? So let me ask you this question. If Bitcoin was at one point $1, and what will we say? 13 years later, 14 years later, right? It's $100,000. Those are exponential increases, logarithmic increases, decimal place movement. You know what I'm saying? Look at the power that was required at one point. At one point, you could just mine Bitcoin with a PC, right? With a computer. Now you have to have an actual mining facility because of the difficulty adjustments on the blockchain and because of the halving. So it not only gets more difficult to purchase Bitcoin, it gets more difficult to produce Bitcoin. As the difficulty increases, the payment that you get for producing a Bitcoin increases, right? So, I mean, this is a matter of fact statement that coincides with the way that Bitcoin is engineered. So, yeah, it's going to be exponentially more difficult to buy Bitcoin. Let me ask you guys this question. How many people have evolved their Bitcoin buying strategy? You're going to have to evolve your Bitcoin buying strategy. Let me ask you, here's another question. Is it easier to buy Bitcoin this year Or was it easier to buy Bitcoin last year? Okay. When people say stuff like this, these are ominous signs, right? These are ominous signs that people need to be aware of so that you don't become irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? For critics who worry that state media actors embracing Bitcoin will undermine its decentralized ideals, Saylor argues the opposite. All right, so this is just a required paragraph that CNBC had to put in here because it's a liberal news network, and they have to try to take a shot at Trump because the feeble minds of the media and the feeble minds of a lot of people have to place Trump and Bitcoin together because they're both orange and because he went to a Bitcoin conference. But they don't say anything about his flip-flop on crypto when Trump said in 2016 that Bitcoin is a scam. You know what I'm saying? The network is very anti-fragile and there's a balance of power here, he said. The more actors that come into the ecosystem, the more diverse, the more distributed the protocol is, the more incorruptible it becomes, the more robust it becomes. And so that means the more trustworthy it becomes to the larger economic actors who otherwise would be afraid to put all of their economic weight on the network. All right. So I think that this is interesting. Now, I want to ask you guys this question. Are countries also adopting this Bitcoin buying strategy? And here's the thing. If they are, what is this going to do to the price? We got to always ask the question, what is this going to do to the price? Because it's just a matter of time, right? It's a matter of time. Let me ask you guys this question. How many people believe that Satoshis are engineered to reach $1 million? If you believe that Satoshis are engineered to reach $1 million, give me a thumbs up. If you don't think that, then give me a thumbs down. Now, why am I saying that? I'm saying that because this is where they keep getting the idea of a quote unquote $100 million Bitcoin. Because if each Satoshi is worth $1 million and there's 100 million Satoshis in a Bitcoin, that would be a $100 million Bitcoin, i.e. Satoshis going to $1 million, right? So that's just food for thought. Ethereum on-chain metrics signal quote unquote potential bull run ahead. Now the bull, it seems like with Ethereum, the bull gets drunk and it starts running sideways. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, you know what I'm saying, the bull don't drink any tequila this time before it starts running and it doesn't run sideways. It actually runs the way it's supposed to run. Byzantine Capital is all in on Ethereum as Ethereum prepares to take on Solana and return to layer 1 dominance. I wasn't aware that Solana had dethroned Ethereum from layer 1 dominance. Were you guys? I wasn't aware that shift had taken place. According to CoinDesk, I guess this is a thing, but I wasn't aware. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said, not certain. I think the US dollar is more engineered to drop towards the value of a Satoshi. Yeah, either way, right? Both of those scenarios would lead to first dollar Satoshi parity, right? And then the Satoshi increasing in value against the dollar, right? And real quick, shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you have not hit the bell and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, subscribe to the channel, and also please share the video to your social media. All right. Ethereum is trading above 2,500, showing a 40% increase over the month, driven by strong performance in decentralized finance and meme coins. Now, before we go any further, I want to ask you guys this question. How many people looked at that coin that I was telling you guys about? Shout out to Detroit 313 because he had mentioned it in the chat. And shout out to Telegram 3 because he put it in the comment section as well. ZBEC Network. ZBEC Network is one of the few tokens that I've been looking at right now that's at between 80 and 90% of its total of its all-time high. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to RY. What's good with it? Right? So it seems to be holding its value, and it also seems to be constantly going up, which is not a bad thing. Despite bullish sentiment, right? So here we come, 2100. Ethereum faces challenging in reaching its all-time high with only a 26% chance, according to Polymarket bettors. That's not a good thing at all. Decentralized AI platforms struggle to compete with centralized services due to technical and economic challenges, hindering their adoption by enterprises. Okay. So, yeah, this it's just more Ethereum noise. More Ethereum noise. Now, I want to ask you guys this question. How many people think that Ethereum will actually reclaim $4,000? If you do, give me a thumbs up. If you do not, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to my man Frozen. My man Frozen said there's no finance without Binance. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Frozen. Make sure you guys show Frozen some love. I appreciate you, bro. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Frozen for funding the organization, and he bought y'all lunch.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
In Springfield,
So don't push me, ain't Donald Trump trying to grab him by the... Said it was some Haitians somewhere out in Springfield. Women doing cartwheels.
Have you seen Garfield?
the cat.
Have you seen Snowball? This about to snowball. I'm about to go off. I can't let this go on. Miss me like an airball. Tell me when my cat is coughing up like a hairball.
the cat.
I gotta tell them if they even put the fingernail on Santa's little helper to turn them to hamburger helper. Somebody better help them, cause I'm going to jail for showing them fellas helter skelter.
Eating the dog.
Usually I'm content, but if you touch my dog, then I'm turning into John Wick. I'm lit. Birdman, and my cat disappeared just like Felix the cat. And they
the cat.
got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat.
the cat.
Got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat cat. Eat.
Drop that cat.
Bitcoin worth $69 million. Total holdings now at 1,471. Now, look, I want you guys to understand. Look at how much money that is. $69 million. Total holdings at 1,471. Microstrategies has what, like 500,000 Bitcoin? Let me ask you guys this question. Currently in the world, how many people will be able to reach a tenth of a Bitcoin? How many people will be able to reach 0.01 Bitcoin? When we talk about Bitcoin and we talk about cryptocurrency, one of the reasons why the people who say that Bitcoin is a scam, or people think that it's a scam, is because we're talking about astronomical amounts of money, numbers that in most cases their brains are not designed to handle. So when you talk about a small fragment of a Bitcoin, when you talk about a tenth of a Bitcoin, I don't know if most people realize this, but if I'm not mistaken, the last time I checked, about 70% of the world, as it is today, as things are today, will not be able to buy a tenth of a Bitcoin. 70% of the world. That when you increase that tenth of a Bitcoin to 21% of a Bitcoin, I want to say only like 15% of the world will have 21% of a Bitcoin. And as you get beyond 21%, it gets extremely rare. Yeah, facts. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Listen, 0.1 Bitcoin is the new Bitcoin. You can tell by the videos that are coming out on YouTube. 0.1 Bitcoin is the new 1 Bitcoin. In the next 10 to 15 years, 0.01. See, like, listen, as the decimal places increase for the amount of money that Bitcoin is worth, the decimal places go down of how many Bitcoin you need to be able to be, quote unquote, financially well off. If when Bitcoin was $1, you need $1 million. You need 1 million Bitcoin. When Bitcoin is $10, you need 100,000 Bitcoin. When Bitcoin is $100, you need 10,000 Bitcoin. When Bitcoin is $1,000, you need 1,000 Bitcoin. When Bitcoin is $10,000, you need 100 Bitcoin. When Bitcoin is $1 million, well, you need like 10 Bitcoin, and it goes down. And as the Bitcoin value gains a zero on the back, right? You take off a decimal, move the decimal place back that same amount for the amount of Bitcoin that you need. Shout out to William. William said, I sent you something on your X pages and Blacklight 2 under your other. Oh, okay. You know what, bro? The best way to get in touch with me is through the Discord. Because honestly, for real, I don't even use my X or any of that anymore. I haven't checked any of my other social media besides Discord in forever. But I'll check it out though. I appreciate you, bro. So does that make sense? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Look, how many of you all, after you watch my video or after you watch any video about cryptocurrency, you see these videos that say all you need is 0.1 Bitcoin to retire. All you need is 0.1 Bitcoin. As time goes on, those videos are gonna be less and less and less with more decimals in front of the one. As more zeros go behind the one of Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? It's a mathematical relationship, right? The French firm said Tuesday that it has completed the purchase of 624 Bitcoin for about $68.7 million. This brought its total holdings to 1,471 Bitcoin. Now they have this is a moderate amount of Bitcoin, right? And it's worth so much money. So again, imagine how much BlackRock and Microstrategies has. You have to train your brain to think on astronomical levels. You have to think of large distances, and you have to think of exponential increases. You have to think of logarithmic increases. You have to move decimal places. You cannot think in a linear fashion when dealing with, cryptocurrency. I've been saying this for years. Now these companies are putting this into application, and you see it on the financials, on the financial, the financial application of it. You know what I'm saying? We're not using algebra anymore. We're using calculus. We're using derivatives. We're using integrals. You know what I'm saying? We're using exponents, scientific notation. You know what I'm saying? Not 1 + 1 = 2 anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like when people talk about cell phones, there was the analog era, right, of cell phones, and then there was a digital era of cell phones. Now we're in a different era with like 5G and all this stuff, right? This is the same as money. Like this is fiat currency is analog money. You know what I'm saying? Now, credit cards and wire transfers and ACH transfers, that's actually digital money, right? This is a completely different system. This is blockchain. You know what I'm saying? This is cryptocurrency. This is beyond digital money. You know what I'm saying? Let me ask you, like, not only do these blockchains keep a transparent log and a transparent record of how money or value, I should say value more or less, moves across the chain, but you can utilize the chain to develop different projects. You can utilize the chain to create AI agents. You can utilize the chain to create NFTs. You can't create NFTs and AI agents at a bank. Do you know what I'm saying? The banks in most cases don't have infrastructure where you can create value. You know what I'm saying? Blockchain and cryptocurrency have those built in. Very different. It's not the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, one thing that the human mind does, one thing that the human mind has been trained to do by the people that train human minds, because the people that train human minds train you to limit your capabilities, to make you believe that you need things like artificial intelligence. Instead of understanding things at a bare, basic level, the education system and the people that design the education system to put limits on your thought capability. And so in order to put limits on your thought capability, what happens is you're trained to do what's called relationship learning. So when you make contact with a new form of data, or you make contact with new information, if you're not able to relate it to something that you already know, it becomes increasingly difficult for you to be able to understand it. You should always approach every piece of information like it's new information. Learn that information completely. If relationships exist, then they just exist. If they don't, then they don't. But this is one of the reasons why people can't grasp these concepts. People want to call Bitcoin stock and different things like that. It's not stock. You know what I'm saying? It's not stock. There might be these mathematical principles that may be the same, but there's mathematical principles that are the same with everything. You know what I'm saying? That's because math is the programming language of the known reality. So, of course, everything's going to have a mathematical relationship. You have to understand the data to the full capacity. You can't just... Relationship learning is lazy learning. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Catsy. Catsy said they have dumbed people down for a while now. They are lazy and not intellectually curious. They now rely on AI programs like Grok to get their info, to pretend that is research. Yeah. And again, this is by design, because the more uneducated and the more docile of a population that you have, the more easy, malleable, and manipulative they can be, and manipulated that they can be. This is what people want. You know what I'm saying? There is a such thing as intellectual capital. Let me ask you guys this question. What does intellectual capital mean? Somebody let me know. All right. So now here says the Blockchain Group, a France-based tech consulting firm, has acquired 624 Bitcoin for roughly 60.2 million, I believe this is euros, or $68.7 million, marking its largest purchase since launching its Bitcoin accumulation strategy. With this latest purchase, the company and its subsidiary, the Blockchain Group Luxembourg SA, now hold a total of 1,471 Bitcoin acquired for 131.9 million euros at about 89,687 euros per Bitcoin, according to a statement released on Tuesday. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Why do you all think that families are not putting their money together and creating Bitcoin treasuries and Bitcoin trusts while we're watching these companies do it? Shout out to my man, TD Media Group. What's good with you, bro? TD Media Group says, I only rely on Chat GPT and Grok these days. See, there you go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, this is facts, right? This is facts. You know what I mean? The company reinforces its Bitcoin accumulation strategy while continuing to develop the operational activities of its subsidiaries, said the French company, which is listed on Euronext Growth Paris. Now, I'm going to keep reiterating this point because it seems like it's easier when people see these things versus when they don't see these things. Here's my question. Shout out to everybody watching. If you've been accumulating cryptocurrency for the last 3 to 4 years, right? Which has grown faster, your cryptocurrency portfolio or your 401k? Let me know in the chat, crypto or 401k. If you've been investing in cryptocurrency since 2017, like me, which has grown faster, your cryptocurrency portfolio or your 401k? That's my question. Now, I want you to this is the problem, right? This is the scenario. When people see these things, it's undeniable. You can see it. You can look at the chart. You can look at the paper, the thing that you get emailed or the thing that you get in the mail, and it shows the growth or the shrinkage of your 401k. You can look on your wallet app or you can look on the exchange or wherever you keep your cryptocurrency and see the growth. People still don't buy it. So again, my question is, the same buying strategy that these cryptocurrency companies are using to accumulate all this crypto, families can do this to buy crypto to create generational wealth for themselves too. They can do it under a trust. My question for everybody is, why are families not creating cryptocurrency trusts and coming up with cryptocurrency accumulation strategies for the financial future and security of their families? Your family can operate like a company. It's supposed to operate like a company. A marriage license is a form of a business license. It's a partnership. It's why you get tax status changes. It goes back to the people that design the finance system, the people that design the education system, the people that designed, the way that they want the human brain to operate. If you operate at an optimal capacity, there's no need for any products. If you operate at a suboptimal capacity, there's a market for every product that will make you approach being optimal. You know what I'm saying? Now, shout out to William. William says lack of financial resources coupled with lack of understanding of what crypto and what it is. How many people agree with William? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with William, give me a thumbs down. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How much does a Satoshi cost? And how many people got a cell phone? How many people got access to a library? How many people have done zero research and automatically just say cryptocurrency is a scam? These, if you ask me, these are the things, right? Now, most people don't know what a 401k is, but they have them, right? Let me ask you guys this question. Anybody that has a 401k, somebody name me 3 companies that your 401k invests in. Here's another question. Why is there such thing as a financial advisor? Right? There's a financial advisor because of what? Most people don't even understand the stock market. So here's my thing, right? Most people don't understand anything. Let me ask you guys this question. How many people can change the oil in their car? How many people can change a tire? How many people even know how to change the windshield fluid out? Right? But they still drive a car. How many people know how it works? Is there anybody that could fix a transmission, but they depend on one to get them to work every single day, either in their own car or in Uber? Here's an even better question. How many people know how to fly an airplane? The majority of people at an airport, can they fly an airplane or do they not, or do they trust one person to fly the plane? You know what I'm saying? I gotta agree with my man Black Free Thinker. Most people honestly don't wish to learn. Shout out to Caldona. What's good with it, Caldona? That is the reality that we must accept. No longer, right? No longer can it be an excuse that I just sat here and something didn't come into my head by osmosis. The only thing that comes into your head by osmosis is positive and negative ions, right? That's it. Simple diffusion. It goes through the semi-permeable membrane of your skin in and out. That's the only thing that happens through osmosis. You know what I'm saying? People have to be charged with that. They have to be charged with that. People are committing the societal crime of being perpetually stupid, which is a detriment and a danger to mankind. The people who are guilty of this heinous capital act must be capitally charged. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Right? Let me ask you what's more. Let's ask a question of abundance, right? We have to, especially like when dealing with cryptocurrency, you know, one of the things that we talk about all the time is scarcity, right? Are methods of obtaining information scarce in 2025? Or is there an oversaturation of information provided in 2025? Which one? So now here's my question, right? Here's my question. Contingent on the answer to that question, how can anyone say they don't know something? How? How in 2025 can you form your mouth to say, I don't know? Here's my question. What do people know? What do people know? Here's another question, right? Why is not understanding a justifiable reason to stay out of one particular situation, right? But not understanding is okay in other situations. We have to explain that, right? Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said you can learn almost anything for free these days. Yeah, I'd agree. How many basketball experts can shoot from the 3-point line with 50% accuracy? You know what I'm saying? Now, here's another question. If you don't know something, how do you, in the future, know it? I got to agree. Shout out to William. William says, conquer that next excuse. I don't have the time. Facts. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said, nah, consequences will do their asses with both cost and time efficiency. By far more cruel, yet fitting punishment. If you guys agree with Black Free Thinker, throw some flames in the chat. Now, right? Again, this is one of the reasons why the rich deserve to be rich and the poor deserve to be poor. You know what I'm saying? The idea that being poor is a quote unquote unfortunate circumstance is a lie. Many rich people started out poor and they did the opposite of what the other poor people are doing and they got rich. Shout out to TD. TD said we was tricked. Right. That's the mentality we got over here. I do not condone the societal separation, you know what I'm saying, of the wealthy and the poor. I don't condone it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you surround yourself with people with a wealthy mind state, you will become wealthy. If you surround yourself by people who are perpetually broke, you will remain perpetually broke and never understand why you don't have any money or anything at all. Not necessarily money, because money is not the only form of wealth, right? Yeah. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker says, unfortunate for the little ones, no one has to be born. Yeah, facts. Shout out to William. William said, hell no, and oversaturation means you have to choose wisely strategically what you listen to or look at. I agree 100%. If you guys agree with William, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. I agree 100%. So what we have to realize is that at every moment in our conscious awareness, we are where we are as a result of some choice. Choices can change the trajectory of everything. People have to understand that. They have to accept that. You know what I'm saying? They have to understand that. They have to accept that. Now, here's my question, right? Here's my question. How do people go from being someone who doesn't know certain things versus being someone who does know certain things? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DJ Elmo. What's good with you, bro? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. We can help Brooklyn Queen out in the chat, right? Brooklyn Queen said, I've already made a mental note to look up Kardashev societies. I personally will find different sources of the same information and study it repeatedly until it sinks in. Now, let me shout out to y'all in the comment section, right? What is a Kardashev civilization? Somebody let me know, right? shout out to TD Media. Make sure y'all show TD Media Group some love. Throw me some flames, some radiation emojis, some ducks to the chat for TD for funding the organization. TD said, nah, them folks stopping me from buying crypto. Listen. All I got to say is you better hurry up and get your 10th of a Bitcoin, right? Because it's about to get exponentially harder to get a 10th of a Bitcoin.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
You know what I'm saying? It's about to get exponentially harder. Now, what is a type 1, type 2, type 3 Kardashev civilization? These are theoretical civilizations, right? An idea created by a Russian scientist named Nikolai Kardashev, right? These kind of civilizations are based on quote unquote energy efficiency, right? And the scale goes from smallest to largest exponentially, right? Smallest to largest exponentially. Now, what is a type 1 Kardashev civilization? Somebody let me know. Let me know in the chat. We're not going any further until somebody tells me what a type 1 Kardashev civilization is. What is a type 1 Kardashev civilization? You already know what's going to be next. If you look up a type 1, you may as well just look up a type 2 and a type 3 because we're going to ask about them too. What is a type 1 Kardashev civilization? And remember, these are theoretical civilizations. Shout out to Cassie. Cassie said, "Is this where the concept of 15-minute cities, freedom cities, came from?" Not quite. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said, "You know, I know. You better say something then, because I'm about to just sit here and repeat myself for the next hour if don't nobody put the answer in." What is a Type 1 Kardashev civilization? Somebody let me know. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said, "I stay watching those science shows." You got to. If you watch the science shows, it'll help you understand the financial markets. But that's another discussion for another day, right? That's another discussion for another day. Type 1 Kardashev. Shout out to Katsy. Katsy says cities that can harness energy. From where? Where do they get the energy? Where do they get the energy? From the planet. Shout out to Katsy. Yeah. There you go. Shout out to AB Promotions. There you go. AB Promotion says a Type 1 civilization is able to access all the energy available on its planet and store it for consumption. Yeah. Yeah, that's what a Type 1 Kardashev civilization is. Now, what would be a Type 2? Yeah, and shout out to William. Kardashev measures a society's technological advancement. No, you're good. You're good, Brooklyn Queen. We got you. We got you. Don't even trip. We got you. You good. No, we and this is going to be an ongoing theme. I'm going to talk about this. Later, right? But it's important. This is important, right? And the reason why this is important is because the energy requirements, right? The energy requirements that will be necessary to produce Satoshis, right? In 2090 or 2100, right? Will require probably full planetary energy utilization. Now, shout out to AB Promotions. AB Promotions says a Type 2 civilization can directly consume a star's energy, most likely through the use of a Dyson sphere. Now, I want you guys to understand. I want you to understand this. It's unconfirmed, right? It's unconfirmed whether there are civilizations in the universe other than ours, right? It's unconfirmed. It could be, maybe not, right? But I want you guys to understand this. How big is the universe? Now, depending on how things are distributed throughout the universe, life, intelligent life, civilization may or may not be a common thing, right? But here is one thing that is true. Bitcoin is a rare earth asset. There's an asteroid that's called 16 Psyche that has more precious metals on it than the entire world market cap. So if a piece of this asteroid falls to the planet Earth, the gold, silver, platinum, copper, nickel supply just increased, right? So what that means is that in theory, the value should go down because more supply has just been put into the pool. There will never be any Bitcoin that falls off of an asteroid onto the planet Earth. There will never be any Bitcoin anywhere other than the planet Earth unless that Bitcoin is sent through some type of advanced network to where the receiving wallet is in the universe. There's only 20, people say there's only 21 million Bitcoin on Earth. There's only 21 million Bitcoin in the universe. Bitcoin is the first rare earth asset, second probably only to life. So, the year 3000, right? The year 4000, the year 5000, when humanity becomes a multi-planetary civilization, if it does, humanity may be spread to 5 or 6 exoplanets. There's still only 21 million Bitcoin. If humanity is able to populate and colonize multiple galaxies, there's still only 21 million Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin ever reaches Satoshi dollar parity, as technology advances to mine more Bitcoin, technology will advance to allow humans to have more capabilities, right? As humans gain more capabilities, larger packets of the universe could potentially be populated with humans. What would a medium of exchange be? That's my question. Let me know what you guys think. Also, what's going to drive those technological advancements? Very simple devices used to be able to be used for Bitcoin faucets and for mining Bitcoin. Now you need damn near nuclear power because you need so much. So imagine when somebody, if we have to become a type 2 civilization, right? And a Dyson sphere is created. And energy from the Dyson sphere is created to mine remaining Satoshis. This is where this is going. You know what I'm saying? Look, shout out to Carlton Way. Carlton Way says Satoshi was probably a galactic bro and created Bitcoin on other planets. Understand me right. He had a fro, you know what I'm saying? And he said you dig all the time. You know what I'm saying? He said you heard me all the time. You know what I'm saying? Now, shout out to AB Promotions. AB Promotions said a type 3 civilization is able to capture all the energy emitted by its galaxy and every object in it, such as every star, every black hole. At some point, that amount of energy will be necessary to remain mining the last Satoshis. What is the last of the Satoshis is supposed to be mined in what? Is it 2099? Which is interesting, right? Because it's 21 million Bitcoin. So in the year 2100, you know what I'm saying? It'll be all over. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Who's contributing to humanity becoming a type 1, 2, or 3 civilization? And as far as the Kardashev scale goes, what level is humanity at right now? Is my question for you guys. Somebody let me know. We're going to get back to that, though. And again, this is, further down the line, but that's the reason why, if you ask me, artificial intelligence is the next step in human evolution. And honestly, human evolution is only a step in Earth evolution. This is what people don't understand. People don't get it. Humanity has a expiration date. Humanity has a given time to do its job, whatever that job may be, and then humanity will be gone. You know what I'm saying? Same way the dinosaurs had their time to do whatever it was that they were supposed to do. Now they provide fossil fuel. You know what I'm saying? People fear that idea, and the idea becomes more real when people see artificial intelligence doing things. Yeah, shout out to Black Free Thinker. We're at type 0. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said, how come we need all this damn energy to mine Bitcoin when it didn't take that energy to create it? Here's my question. How do we know how much energy it took to create Bitcoin? How do we know? Somebody tell me how many work hours and watts, computer chips, and pieces of data it took to create Bitcoin. And I mean, let me ask you this question. Is it easier to make a life or is it easier to live a life? Somebody could ask that question too. Why is it easier to make a human than to be one? Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is that? So this why am I saying all this? I'm saying all that to say this. People should have a higher standard of intelligence. Because at the moments of human obsolescence, it'll be the most useful humans who continue to live. And there won't be a need for other humans. So, like on the Matrix, instead of being fossil fuel, you'll just be human fuel. You may be human fuel right now. You're human fuel for your employer. You know what I'm saying? So why am I saying that? Shout out to William. It all goes back to William's original question / comment, right? Shout out to William. William says, Type 40 controls an infinite amount of planets with the ability to create, control, and destroy a planet in a single amount of time. Now, here's my question. If people can't even be bothered to learn about Bitcoin, how will the people that can't be bothered to learn about Bitcoin ever contribute to becoming a type 1, 2, or 3 civilization? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said, dinosaurs become fossil fuel for us. And in the Matrix movie, we are batteries. Isn't life wonderful? It's a cycle. It's a series of events. It's a series of cascading escalation. You know what I'm saying? One thing has to die off so that something else can emerge. And it just is what it is, right? You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You know what I mean? And the thing is what's interesting about it is if you look at the oldest like religions on the planet, the oldest like civilizations on the planet, they talked about like these life cycles, and you know what I'm saying? Even in the Lion King, they talk about the circle of life. This was understood by allegedly primitive people, right? But it's not understood by quote unquote allegedly advanced people. So that makes you have to ask the question, how advanced are we actually advanced? You know what I'm saying? How advanced are we? I don't think that people are advanced as we'd like to believe. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's a condition called human grandiosity. And humans never base human intelligence on the capacities of the infinite. Humans only base their intelligence against other humans and against animals. You know what I'm saying? I think it's fascinating. I base humans on repetition, right? And if you ask me, the thing that everyone does the most should be what people understand the most, right? Life and death are an experience that every human being known has experienced. Shout out to Alonda, right? But most people, there's no body of research, no body of work. They can't locate a human consciousness. There's none of this information available. But this is something that every human goes through. But people just can't, people are unable to say, I don't know. We say, I don't know. We'll just turf it off to a God that we made up. You know what I'm saying? We'll just turf it off to this is the unknown. No, this is unknown by you. It's the same thing in human history. I don't know why they call it human history, because what they account for, quote unquote, as human history is only a documentary of European land exploration. Nothing else counts. Nothing else counts. If you even look up certain things, quote unquote, objective sources will say, quote unquote, no European explorer had been here until XYZ. So time is only based on, in this society, this world that we live in, European contact with anything, because, quote unquote, nothing else matters. My question to people is, when are people going to make other things matter? That's my question. When is that going to happen? Unfortunately, right? Unfortunately, from the looks of things, it doesn't look like it'll ever happen. And I don't understand why. I believe that the majority of people, regardless of who you are completely 110% satisfied with the status quo and only complain about value-based complaints to remain relevant in social circles and conversation. No one wants the world to change. How many people agree with that? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. No one wants the world to change. Literally, the world constructed the way that it is right now is perfect and customized for all of its occupants. And everybody is just lying to be relatable. Shout out to Katsy. Katsy says, I want it to change. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen agrees. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton says you hit the nail on the head. I believe this with 100% conviction. You know what I'm saying? Facts. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said most people are too consumed with their ability to consume. Shout out to William. William says Europeans can only go back 6,000 years, which is interesting because that means that they have an exponential rate of world takeover, just like Bitcoin, right? So now here's my question. Good thing, bad thing. Let me ask you this question. If you and again, right? Shout out to Neely Fuller Jr. If you're a kindergartner and you graduate college, good thing, bad thing. You're on stage with everybody, you know what I'm saying? Everybody else got their PhD and they're in their 30s, and the kindergartner is up there getting his PhD. And you know, two of the people who are in their 30s getting their PhD, they look at the kindergartner and say, you're only 6. Yeah, you're only 6, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he's the valedictorian and he's getting the same degree as you. What does that say? You know what I'm saying? That's now again, right? Shout out to Neely Fuller Jr. Neely Fuller Jr. posed that question. What does that say? That says a lot about all parties involved, right? Yeah, facts. And I agree. Shout out to Black Alpha Male Pimp Network. I agree 100%. Alpha Male Pimp Network says that's why we're all in your chat right now. We are a version of the New World Order, crypto style. Now, I want to ask y'all this question. As many rap videos or as many like hip hop documentaries that people watch, what is one thing that people should learn from the hip hop documentaries? A lot of people that are in hip hop, they start out and they got the best intentions and they want to take, quote unquote, their friends to the top with them. And they find out the hard way, everybody ain't made for every environment. Right? You know what I'm saying? If you happen to be a seal and you're swimming around and your best friend is a fish and you be like, yo, I want to show you this over here on land, and you take them out of water, you don't do so good. You take some people out of their current environments, they don't do so good. So the idea is that what people got to understand is that if you actually want to, quote unquote, make a new world order, if you want to, quote unquote, be a new world order, if you want to be, quote unquote, a new elite, you have to understand that you are the new elite. And the reason why other people aren't up there with you is because they're not elite. They're not elite. There's only one MVP. The entire Chicago Bulls wasn't an MVP. Michael Jordan was. The entire team don't even start. You know what I'm saying? The majority of the team sits the bench. That's what people got to understand. You know what I'm saying? I think that in many cases, people have been hardwired to believe this kumbaya idea of, quote unquote, we have to save everybody. One of the first things that you learn in lifeguard school is never go and try to save a drowning person in the water, because you will both drown. You send them a raft, or, you know, put a pole out in the water so that they can climb onto it. You know what I'm saying? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. This is just the reality of things. You know what I'm saying? I've in my life, I've made too many failed attempts. And then I realized the reason why I'm failing at these attempts is because I'm trying to change. I'm trying to get cats to bark and I'm trying to get dogs to meow. A dog is never going to meow. It's always going to bark. A cat is always going to meow. It's never going to bark. And what people have to understand is people take pleasure, right? They take pleasure in their customized misery. They take pleasure in it. So the reason why people are resistant to change is because they're too busy enjoying misery. You have to let them be. You have to let them be. You have to respect their personal space. You have to let them exercise their right to be miserable. And you have to understand that comes with the price and the cost of separation. And this is something that a lot of people are not able to grasp because of how people have been taught this church mentality, this congregation, and everybody holding hands and wearing robes and singing. No. Those people hold hands and are in robes and singing and then get on a bus to go back home after church while they put all their paycheck into an offering plate, and the pastor who's wearing a $7,000 Gucci suit gets into his $70,000 Z71 Silverado truck and drives away. No. The sooner people understand that, the better people would do for themselves. Shout out to my man Hurricane IQ. What's good with it? The better people will do for themselves. Let me ask you guys. Let me ask you this question. Why would you push a giant boulder uphill? Why would you try to push a giant boulder uphill when you can just walk up the hill yourself and leave the boulder at the bottom of the hill? Why would you push it up the hill? Why would anybody do that? Let me ask you guys this question. Anybody who has tried to, quote unquote, save large groups of people, or anybody who's, shown loyalty, quote unquote, to where they came from or whatever, how have they been rewarded? That's my question. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said maybe if you're trying to gain muscle, right? Maybe if you're Atlas, right? Right, exactly. Shout out to AB Promotions. The only reason why someone would do that is to gain strength, right? Not because they're trying to get somewhere. But if you're trying to get somewhere, why would you put a roadblock in front of yourself? Facts. Shout out to Hurricane, because they're convinced they can push it uphill no matter how much evidence proves otherwise. Facts. The fatal flaw of human emotion. Shout out to Carlton. They've been rewarded with death. Facts. Shout out to Katsy. Katsy said, I gave up trying to get people to see the light a long time ago. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Yeah. And this is the facts. This is the facts. You can rosy things up and make it seem however people may want it to seem, but this is the facts. This is it. This is what it is. If people don't like the facts, people got to change the data. Just as simple as that. Just as simple as that. You know what I'm saying? This is the end all be all. You know what I'm saying? Let me ask you guys this. If a team is like 0 for 21 and the coach just continuously tells them they did a good job and that everybody else cheated, will that team ever win any games? Like, do you think that Pat Riley rewarded the Knicks or the Heat when they lost to the Bulls or to the Spurs? You guys think that? Or do you think that, it was a really not fun time in the locker room after those games? What about when the Pistons would lose to the Celtics, or when they would lose to the Lakers, or even when they would lose to the Bulls, like back in the 80s and 90s? You think Chuck Daly was telling the Pistons how it wasn't their fault? You know what I'm saying? Nah, it's not how that worked. It's not how that worked. As parents, how many people tell their kids if they bring home all Fs, oh, you're doing good. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get you an application, get you applied to a Ivy League school, send you to Harvard or something. We're gonna buy you a whole bunch of new clothes and give you some money too for a bunch of Fs. You got straight Fs. Most parents with some common sense are not gonna treat bad grades like that. So my question is, why is that the expected tone when dealing with particular issues in society? That's my question. That's my question. I'm gonna tell you something. One of the biggest traps is the trap of low expectations. It's one of the biggest traps. It's the trap where you believe that you're doing good because the expectations are so on the floor, right? The expectations are so on the floor that if you just follow these low expectations, people are acting like you did something monumental. That's a trap. It's a strategy. It's a strategy to stop people from evolving. And people fall for it all the time. And the reason why people fall for it all the time is because they're emotionally conditioned with operant and classical conditioning. People like positive reinforcement. So if you put the expectations on the floor and you positive reinforce very minimal improvement, where is your peak going to be at? Where's your peak going to be at? If somebody celebrates that you got a C in math, why get an A? Why get a B? Why get a 100% on the test? Think about it. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. So now here it says the company stock opened higher at €3.18, I guess, if that's what they do, on Tuesday, up from Monday's close of 2.93 euros. But has since retraced to 2.93 at the time of writing, according to Eurodata. The stock is still trading. All right. Blockchain Group is among a growing number of firms accumulating Bitcoin. Strategy, led by Michael Saylor, remains the largest publicly traded corporate holder of Bitcoin, announcing Monday its latest purchase of 705 Bitcoin. That brings its total holdings to 580,955 Bitcoin. How much money is that? How much money is that? Besides a lot. Strategy also seeks to sell 2.5 million shares of perpetual preferred shares called Stride as a part of its ongoing effort to expand its Bitcoin holdings. Let me ask you guys this question. How much Bitcoin is left? Is there anybody that can tell me how much Bitcoin is left? These companies are buying it up at an astronomical amount. Here's my question. How are people going to buy Bitcoin in the future? Look at this. ARK 21 shares Bitcoin ETF to split stock for retail investors. 21 shares says it wants to make its flagship Bitcoin ETF more attractive to retail investors by reducing its cost per share. The ARK 21 shares Bitcoin ETF will undergo a 3-for-1 share split later this month as the fund's issuers, 21 shares, says it's looking to boost its appeal to retail investors. Okay. Now, let me ask you guys this question. If there's a 3-for-1 stock split, what happens? What happens? The stock split is slated for June 16th and is designed to make shares more accessible to a broader base of investors and enhance trading efficiency, 21 shares said on June 2nd. All right. The exchange-traded funds investment strategy, aiming to track the price of Bitcoin, won't change, and its Bitcoin holdings will remain identical, 21 shares said. It added that the ETF will continue trading as usual, and the total net asset value of the fund will also remain unchanged. All right. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How many people currently trade ETFs? It don't necessarily have to be a Bitcoin ETF. I'm just curious. Any ETF. They got gold ETFs. They got commodities ETFs. They got all different kinds of ETFs. How many people hold their value in ETFs? Are you an ETF holder? If you're an ETF holder and not necessarily Bitcoin, any ETF, give me a thumbs up. If you're not an ETF holder, then give me a thumbs down. Look, I'm not mad at that. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said 19.87 million Bitcoin circulating as of now. I looked at it while putting in my order for ZBAC. There you go. Now, let me ask you guys this question. When it comes to ZBAC, right? What kind of products do ZBAC offer? What kind of cryptocurrency is ZBAC? What's ZBAC's native chain, right? Let's ask these questions. And the reason why we're asking these questions is because it has to do with the type of value that ZBAC provides. You know, because ZBAC provides a particular kind of value. I'm saying. A stock split is when a company divides its existing shares into multiple new shares. In a 3-for-1 split, each share becomes 3, but the total value remains the same. Now, the idea is the share split, you get a 3-for-1 split, and the idea is that the 3 shares go back up to the price of the 1. That's the idea. That's how people make a lot of money. Some investors may feel priced out when the asset or share prices rise, which can dissuade them from buying certain stocks. This leads some companies or ETF issuers to split their stock and lower the price per share, making it more affordable to retail investors, even though the underlying value is unchanged. It's basically just a math trick, right? Here, I got this big giant jar of peanut butter, and I'll sell it to you for $14. Ooh, $14 for some peanut butter? That's too expensive. Okay, I'm gonna chop it up into 6 little jars, and I'll sell you one of the little jars for, $4, right? Okay, I'll buy the little jar. Now this, I'll buy the little jar, but if you multiply 6 times 4, that's $24. You could have got the whole jar for 14. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are very simple. You know what I'm saying? ARCB closed June 2nd, trading at $104.25 a share. Meaning, if a stock split happened now, one share would be priced at a third of what the current value is at, which is just under $35. Okay. The ARC 21 shares Bitcoin ETF, a joint offering between 21 shares and investment manager ARK Invest, has recently been the worst performing fund in terms of flows out of the 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs in the US. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Which ETF is the best performing Bitcoin ETF? And here's another question. Where can you buy these Bitcoin or any of these ETFs at? Where can you buy them at? Where can you get them? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said, AI overview. The ZBEC network is a decentralized infrastructure network designed to facilitate the flow of real-world value. It was initially founded as ZBEC protocol on the Solana blockchain in 2021. The network aims to make financial transactions, particularly payroll and payments, more seamless and efficient by leveraging blockchain technology. So the ZBEC network seems to be a token that will facilitate the idea of quote unquote real world assets. Yeah, right. I don't have any ETFs either, but I do got Microstrategies. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said it's not officially an ETF, but I would say Microstrategies. Facts. Now, I want you guys to think about this idea, right? A lot of these, there's like this proxy investment into Bitcoin, proxy investment into crypto. Any of these companies, right, that are leveraging crypto as part of their equity, they're doing that in order, right? They're doing that in order to add value to their balance sheet and to increase their per share price. So they can also say, well, I know a lot of people want to invest in Bitcoin, but they're scared to invest in Bitcoin. So just invest in me because I'm invested in Bitcoin. So it's like the cryptocurrency companies are like a proxy Bitcoin investment. Right? It acts as a proxy. If you look at the world, to me, the proper way to look at the world is to invest in Bitcoin as a proxy against world uncertainty. I look at Bitcoin as a proxy investment into the world market cap. The same way somebody looks at MicroStrategy as a proxy investment into Bitcoin, I look at Bitcoin as a proxy to gain the value of the world market cap. Do that make sense? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't, give me a thumbs down. So now here says it's been 6 consecutive trading days of outflows totaling 430 million. That trend didn't change on June 2nd when 74 million left the product, according to CoinGlass. However, it is the third largest fund in terms of total aggregate inflows, with 2.37 billion trailing similar ETFs from BlackRock and Fidelity. ARCB currently has 4.8 billion in assets under management, with a year-to-date return of 7.35. Okay. Yeah, look, see what Black Free Thinker said? Black Free Thinker said, and yes, there are 2x MicroStrategies based ETFs out there. I love them because MicroStrategies price action has mood swings. And that's because MicroStrategies price is heavily correlated not only with Bitcoin, but with the crypto market. It's heavily correlated. Like MicroStrategy just said, I'm gonna throw the correlation of crypto on my back. Let's go. We're gonna run with it and take it where it takes us. Look where it took them. You know what I'm saying? Look where it took them. Not mad at it. You know what I'm saying? So now they just go on to talk about these Bitcoin ETF outflows, which we know that doesn't last very long. When it comes to these Bitcoin BTC ETF outflows, for the most part, all that means is that people are taking profits. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's take a look at this. How many people watch that debate between Jack Mallers and Peter Schiff on David Lynn's channel? If you guys watched that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't, give me a thumbs down. Why am I asking about that? I'm asking about that because Jack Mallers, that guy right there, that's the guy that is going to be like one of the heads of the blockchain group, the 21 investors, 21 Capital. I didn't think Jack Mallers did a good job defending Bitcoin in that debate. I think Peter Schiff had him off his game. You know what I'm saying? I was actually thoroughly disappointed in Jack Mallers' performance in that debate. A lot of times people can't get around the idea when somebody says, when you buy Bitcoin, you get nothing. They don't have a counter for that, which is absolutely absurd. It's ridiculous. That is the most basic thing to not get shut down in a debate on. But in most cases, when people just throw that nonsensical talking point out there, they shut down. Which then when I see people shut down like that, it makes me question how convicted to Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency they actually are. If you're ever in a situation, you got to defend Bitcoin to the death, especially against somebody like Peter Schiff, somebody like that's an anti-Bitcoiner, that's a gold advocate. You have to destroy him completely in a debate, and that didn't happen. And I'm disappointed. You know what I'm saying? Now, we've talked about this before. When people say, if you buy Bitcoin, you get nothing, what is your counter to that? What's the counter to that? Somebody says, oh, you buy Bitcoin, you buy crypto, you're just buying air. The first thing that I'm going to say is, I'm buying air because we need air to live. right? So that's going to set the tone. Yeah, bro. You know what I'm saying? You about to walk out of this really sore. Get ready, right? Second thing is Bitcoin has the world's largest, most tangible, where you can touch it on every part of the planet, energy utilizing computer network that you not only own a part of, but you have a protocol vote for when you own Bitcoin. You have a say in the Bitcoin protocol. You own a piece of the Bitcoin network. The Bitcoin network is the most powerful, largest computer system in the entire world in human history. Why do you just keep repeating that when you buy Bitcoin, you get nothing? When there's clearly something that you get a tangible product that you can actually touch. You can go put your hand on a data center. You can walk into a data center and you can look at the NVIDIA chips mining Bitcoin. You own part of that. Yeah, facts. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said, I'm buying into a network that paves the way for future technologies in real time. Facts. So then you have to ask yourself, and then after you say that, you have to ask yourself, do you have to lie to win every debate? Because you just lied. See, just because something doesn't have value to somebody, that doesn't mean that you're buying air. If you ask me, I think that it's not very intelligent to pay a monthly note on a cell phone. I would never pay a monthly note on a cell phone if I could avoid it. Like I said, they should have smartphones and dumb phones, right? Like a lot of old school phones, like the Motorola V90 or the Motorola StarTech, even the old school Motorola Razr. I would buy those again and use them. I've deleted for the most part most of my social media except for my Discord and my YouTube. I don't use any of it. The only thing that I use, or the only thing that I look at, is cryptocurrency stuff on my phone. I don't need it for anything else. You can actually get text alerts for certain stuff. So you really just don't even need it, right? But some people find value in that stuff. There's literally some people that would go into shock if they weren't able to look at TikTok. I understand. I get it. I understand. I get it. We all understand addiction, right? So, they find the value in TikTok. They got to get their fix. They got to look at fix talk. You know what I'm saying? It's a value for some people. It's just not valuable for me. But when people had these Bitcoin debates and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, they can't admit that a lack of value is not synonymous with intangible. Value is subjective. You know what I'm saying? Value is subjective. And most people get thrown off their game and they get so offended because somebody's attacking Bitcoin that they can't keep it together to actually redirect the debate into convincing the audience or the other person that Bitcoin is a superior asset, which is what the purpose of the debate is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? 21 investors inject $100 million into Bitcoin treasury. Jump crypto backs scrutinized. All right. 21 capital securitized. Jump capital back securitized. My bad. Securitized Azen, Savia, and Dex Ari headline a less active month for crypto venture capital. Okay. Now, again, you got to ask yourself this question. How do these people just get all this venture capital? How do they get all this money? Look at all these different kind of projects. These projects are going to block out traditional business models. You're not going to be able to make traditional businesses anymore. You know what I'm saying? May was a quieter month for crypto venture capital, but notable raises by tokenization platforms and a hyperliquid wallet indicate that deal making remains active. Perhaps the biggest development was the ongoing momentum for 21 Capital, the Bitcoin treasury company backed by stablecoin issuer Tether, crypto exchange Bitfinex, and Wall Street firm Cantor Fitzgerald. The company's total funding reached $685 million after its backers exercised the option to purchase additional convertible bonds last month. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Shout out to Carlton Way. Why can't Carlton Way issue some convertible bonds and get $685 million to build himself a Bitcoin treasury company? Why? Somebody let me know. $21 Capital gets a $100 million investment boost. The backers of $21 Capital have exercised the option to purchase an additional $100 million of convertible senior secured notes, bringing the Bitcoin treasury company's total funding to $685 million. The news came a month after 21 emerged from stealth with grand plans to acquire billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. 21 CEO Jack Mallers also announced that the company is launching Proof of Reserves, a public ledger that verifies its Bitcoin treasury holdings. So, I mean, this dude is just about to just get mad money, you know what I'm saying, for no reason, while, people are telling you not to, don't even pay attention to cryptocurrency. Stay away from those troublemakers that talk about cryptocurrency. Facts. Shout out to Carlton. If you guys agree with Carlton, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said they haven't realized that Crow with Knife is a true asset, right? All these late adopters on Crow and Knife, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Look, if you agree with Carlton, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Carlton said, because no one will make me great. Tisk, 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 tisk. And the world will remain the same. Right? The world will remain the same. We have to give it to them because that's what people want. That's what people want. They want the world to remain the same for everybody's benefit. We can ensure that the world remains the same if we make sure that our smart people are never made great. Smart people might make us have to do a little bit more work, or smart people will raise the standard and then we'll have to be smart compared to them. We are an enemy of the state, an enemy of the state of idiocy. Oh, man. Decentralized computing layer AZEN closed a $1.2 million seed round led by Waterdrip Capital with an additional participation from DWF Ventures, Root Labs, Mindfulness Capital, and others. As we read these crypto articles, you would never think that there's a shortage of money. Would you? Where's all this money coming from? You know what I find fascinating? Why aren't other YouTubers telling people how to generate this money? They know so much. You know so much. I'm saying, show me where the money at. You know so much. right? How come they can't show us where the money is? Somebody help me out with that one. Where's the money? They got all the knowledge for us, family. Where's the money? I'm not trying to hear none of that. Where is the money? Where's the ducats at? You know what I'm saying? Empty the safe. Right? The company is building decentralized physical infrastructure networks, DPINs, for AI applications, reducing reliance on advanced chips amid supply chain disruptions from the U.S.-China trade war. The AZN platform claims to have onboarded more than 500,000 users, including more than 80,000 active nodes for its DPIN testnet. All right. More investment. Jump Crypto makes an undisclosed investment in Securitize. Okay. Venture capital firm Jump Crypto has made an undisclosed investment in tokenization platform Securitize to support greater institutional adoption of tokenized assets and collateral management solutions. All right. A Securitize spokesperson told Cointelegraph that this marks the company's first investment since BlackRock's $47 million allocation in 2024. Now, look, when it comes to BlackRock, right? When it comes to BlackRock, $47 million is like pocket change. It's like buying a pop at the vending machine. Facts. Shout out to Carlton. I got to agree. Carlton said, I think because they specialize in social/moral concerns and not financial concerns, yet they complain about the wealth gap. Let me ask you guys this question. How many of those complaints should we start taking serious? Should we continue to entertain those? That's a question for the boardroom. Look at all of BlackRock's assets. Look at this. The investment objective of BlackRock U.S. Institutional Digital Liquidity Fund is to seek current income as is consistent with liquidity and stability of principle. Look at that. Goodness gracious. Not even all of BlackRock's assets right there. Look at that number. 2,911,768,681. Let me ask you guys this question. How many people in here would love to have that amount of money? If you would love to have that amount of money, throw some money bags in the chat. More tokenization. Let me ask you guys this question. What are all the things that people are tokenizing? Stop tokenizing things. You know what I'm saying? Jim Clyburn. You know what I'm saying? He'll sit up there and say that. Stop tokenizing everything. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said, let's be fair. Start with less than one every 6 months, and we'll evaluate the performance in a year. Yeah, that's facts. That's fair. Savia, a United Kingdom-based tokenization company, raised $2.5 million in seed funding to support its mission of launching tokenized investment products backed by scarce assets such as wine, luxury watches, and classic cars. I want you guys to understand something. Understand this very, very well. Understand this very well. Being a millionaire is the new middle class. You're not even rich if you're a millionaire. Being a billionaire, you're rich. If you're a millionaire, you're middle class working poor. Everything under millionaire is poverty. You're impoverished if you're not a millionaire. This is the current state of society. Okay. Do you notice how we can like we're reading this? None of these numbers are as large as the Microstrategies numbers, but they're still huge. They're still huge. You know what I mean? Let me ask you guys this question. What percentage of the world population is going to give birth to the next generation of poor, broke people? Let me ask a better question. Is the number of broke people increasing or is it decreasing? It's going to be increasing. It's going to be increasing. What are people going to do to not be broke is my question. The investment round was led by venture studio Emergent X with participation from several unnamed angel investors. Savia's platform enables investors to purchase SaveW token, an ERC20 token fully backed by physical assets held in reserve. The assets are secured through a partnership with the decentralized storage and tokenization network, which is called DSAT, which is also backed by Emergent X. Okay. Yeah, man. Let me ask you guys this question. Where is the information? Shout out to my man, John Guillory. What's good with you, bro? Where is the information showing that money is leaving Bitcoin? Where's the information that's showing that? Somebody let me know. If anybody has that information, even on the replay gang, in the comment section, leave it in the comment section and we'll go after it. All right. If you're not part of the Discord, join the Discord. All right. I'm gonna try to do it again tomorrow at the same time. Hopefully I'll be able to do it at 1 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream. All right. Let me shout out the stream sponsors. I really appreciate you guys. All right. Shout out to T.F.T.C. Make sure y'all show T.F.T.C some love. Definitely appreciate you. Standing on business for 26 months. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Definitely appreciate you, Brooklyn Queen. Make sure y'all show her some love. We hitting the goal. 1 out of 10 on the orange. Definitely appreciate you. Shout out to Frozen. Definitely appreciate you, bro. And shout out to my man TD Media Group. Definitely appreciate you. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please do that. Take a moment, subscribe to the channel. If you're not part of the Discord, make sure that you hit the Discord and join the Discord. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,
run. Yeah, hey, okay, I'm fresh up out the package. Sign my deal, I pay my dues. Affiliated to this paper, I need freedom for my family line. Draw my life design up like fine art. I'm jumping off just an unfamiliar coordinate. Topped off the porch like I can touch the sky. Red, it's not one trillion. The ism talk the water out your faucet. Look at me flossing, I'm so wavy, I could change the tide. My intuition sense the hatred in your ways. You imitated, forging lines, claim meaning means that's just to justify. Yeah, right. West side, born maritime. Creole baby, my bloodline. My lungs clouded, my thoughts crowded. Say all I see is these dollar signs. Finna make a play and that sound delay. On mamas, I testify. Run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Gang recognized gang. name, I'm from the Bay, okay, I'm versatile and my slang's different. I'm lane switching with the same people that I came up in this thing with. My head swivel, I'm homebound, got a target back on my backside. The cat peeling with the cast iron, better run for it, run before I catch you. Niggas out ball it, block it, trying to stop my blessing. Gamble with your life, don't bet it, don't bet it. They can't stop my blessing, you do best not to test it. Yeah, you right, real Lord in my
How do you
best
think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the marching dimes.
How's my flow designer, my brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission is a dollar sign. If I say it twice and I meant it right.
My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission is a dollar sign. You know, co-sign and no co-pilot. They pip-tiles my flow designer. My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission is a dollar sign.
Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds.